The Endeavour area of the Juan de Fuca Ridge is a seismically active area of seafloor formation and hydrothermal venting. The Endeavour Hydrothermal Vent Area is located 250 kilometers offshore from Vancouver Island, 2,250 meters below the ocean surface. The area has been a popular research site for more than 20 years. From this area, researchers strive to uncover secrets of the formation of Earth's tectonic plates and chemosynthetic food webs. They also seek a potential glimpse of the origins of life on our planet and perhaps its origins on others. On March 4, 2003, the Endeavour Hydrothermal Vent Marine Protected Area was officially designated under Canada's Oceans Act. Endeavour fulfills criteria for marine protected area establishment as identified in the Oceans Act, such as conservation and protection of unique habitats in marine areas of high biodiversity and productivity. Globally, hydrothermal venting systems foster numerous unique species of animals. There are some 60 distinct species native to the Juan de Fuca Ridge. Many of these species are the first in the world to be identified. Hydrothermal vents at Endeavour are home to 12 species that do not exist anywhere else in the world. An organism from this site holds the current record for the upper temperature limit to life, 121 degrees Celsius. Let's explore just how hydrothermal vents are formed and the amazing life that thrives deep beneath the surface in the Endeavour Marine Protected Area.
Hydrothermal vents are located at mid-ocean ridges, so picture it as seams along a baseball. And when you go away from these seams, it's almost like the desert. There's not really much life there. It's called the abyssal plain, so it just looks like that's going on and on and on. When you get closer to these little seams on the baseball, at the hydrothermal vents, you see an abundance of life. Hydrothermal vents form when two plates are separating away from each other and new crust from the Earth's center starts migrating upwards. You'll have water that percolates through this really super hot crust, and from pressure and both temperature, it'll come back up and start precipitating these minerals out once it reaches that cold seafloor. So you'll get these precipitations slowly start forming these hydrothermal chimneys, and once the temperatures as well as the right conditions are available for new animals, they'll start colonizing these hydrothermal vents.
So we can go from a volcanic eruption essentially flattens everything to the beginnings of a vent ecosystem with a number of species within less than a year.
They're at depths usually between 1,500 meters to up to 4,000 meters below the sea surface. So basically no sun can penetrate these environments. It's in complete darkness. The ambient sea water is usually about 2 degrees at those depths, but at these hydrothermal vents, you're getting these, just like picture underwater volcanoes. They're spewing out these hot vent fluids that are up to 400 degrees Celsius in some cases. They're extremely toxic, so you have hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, methane. So for you and I, there's no way we'd be able to survive at these hydrothermal vents.
You're on an underwater volcano where there's absolutely nothing alive, and then boom, you come across this little oasis of life with color, reds, blues, and animals you've never seen before. Everything we brought up had never been seen by a scientist before. Bottom few hundred meters of water contains millions of larvae of vent animals that have been released by vent ecosystems in the surrounding area. These larvae are constantly urgently looking for a new place to settle down. They detect the vent environment, they come in, settle down on the seafloor, and transform into juveniles and then adult animals. And they can colonize in a matter of months. Most of the animals that live there are unusually tolerant of high temperatures, toxic hydrogen sulfide, and even heavy metals. There's a really limited number of species that can colonize hydrothermal vents, but those that can really cut it do really well. We find incredible biomass in this environment, even though there are a very small number of species. Some of the more common animals at hydrothermal vents in the North Pacific are the giant tube worms. These are large worms that can be up to 2 meters in length. They have no mouth, no digestive system. The only way that they can exchange anything with the outside world is through their gills.
They survive by this symbiotic relationship with bacteria. And essentially what they do is they uptake this bacteria into an internal organ called the trophosome. And the trophosome houses all these bacteria. And if you have seen a picture of a tube worm, they have these red bushy plumes at the anterior portion of their body, and they uptake these dissolved gases, which are toxic to you and I. So it'd be hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, as well as oxygen. And essentially this feeds the internal bacteria that provide the sole and only nutrition for the tube worms. Hydrothermal vents are a highly ephemeral environment, and by ephemeral I mean it's very dynamic. Vents are shutting off and then turning back on and starting up in a new location, or even vents can shut off and then turn back on again at the same location later on. So life itself at these vents that are turning off usually end up collapsing or dying, but then you'll see them pop up at these new hydrothermal vents and recolonize new areas. So it's very dynamic and it's constantly circling around. As they die out, they'll recolonize new vents again. So there's a working hypothesis right now that hydrothermal vents was the site of origin of life on Earth. The location or the habitat provides the necessary biogeochemical processes as well as the composition of the habitat for life to originate, but it's still highly unknown how that started, and more research does need to be done.
Since its discovery in 1982, the Endeavour hydrothermal vents have been a focus of research by Canadian and international scientists. As a consequence of its location offshore and its special ecosystem, scientific researchers are the primary group interested in this area. However, the beauty and mystery surrounding Endeavour naturally captivates the imagination of both researchers and the general public alike. The Endeavour Hydrothermal Vents Marine Protected Area has been designated to ensure the protection of these hydrothermal vents and the unique ecosystem associated with them. The regulation to establish the marine protected area prohibits the removal, disturbance, damage, or destruction of the venting structures or the marine organisms associated with them. The scientific research conducted in this marine protected area contributes to the understanding of the hydrothermal vent ecosystem and could possibly reveal secrets surrounding the origins of life on Earth and even its origin on other planets.